Last week in Atlanta, a gunman identified as 30-year-old Patrick Joseph White opened fire near the Center for Disease Control and Prevention headquarters, and DeKalb County Police Officer David Rose was killed in that attack before the shooter died by a self-inflicted gunshot wound. No injuries were reported during the melee, but that's not, in fact, despite the loss of life and just the tragedy of the incident. The most shocking part of the incident was the number of rounds recovered, 500 shell cases from the scene. 200 of those struck the CDC buildings, including at least 4 to 6 structures. That's a lot of buildings being shot up in this incident. Some may include rounds from the responding officers, so the man may not have fired off all 500 rounds and shot the buildings all 200 times, but this is a large amount of ammunition shot by one person. He had plenty of guns, plenty of ammo. He was accessed 5 firearms, rifles, and maybe a shotgun by breaking into his father's locked safe. He had writings at his home expressing disillusion and discontent with the CDC and COVID-19 vaccinations. And that's essentially the motivation we have. His father basically said that he was not happy with the way COVID-19 vaccinations made him sick, and that was what basically made him sick enough to do this action. The CDC director called the attack a tragic outcome of persistent misinformation, urging to rebuild the public trust. Meanwhile, the agency's union and employees blamed the vaccine rhetoric, particularly from high-profile figures who said vaccines are making people sick and not doing anything for them, for creating a hostile climate that continues throughout this day with violence. People believing other people saying that vaccines are bad are having people that believe vaccines are bad attacking other people over vaccines. Security protocols at the CDC are basically being brought up to speed for things like this. It's pretty obvious that we're in a climate where they still need to have some extra security over people who believe what they believe. Unfortunately, sustained anti-vaccine misinformation may be way too late to do anything about this. People are going to believe what they're going to believe, and there may or may not be more violence and more shooters in the future because they are already deep-rooted with these ideas. This CDC shooting was a violent and tragic assault fueled by anti-vaccine sentiment and untreated mental health issues. With nearly 500 rounds fired and 200 shooting into government buildings, it sparked a lot of attention. The interest and intensified discussions on vaccines and violence against people who depend to work on vaccines is growing now, but the misinformation has been growing for a while and may never be able to be squashed, which is the real problem. The need for enhanced security and support within public health institutions is definitely needed. We'll see how the CDC handles this going forward and how we as people will handle some issues like this and the misinformation as well.